need to talk about the dark web. Most people, I would imagine, like myself, have heard of it, but really don't know the ins and outs of it at all. And in fact, sort of if someone asked me initially, I would have had no idea in terms of what I would need to say to explain it. So is it worth just explaining a little bit about the understanding of what the dark web is?
Yeah, I think I must preface this with, I'm not an expert because it's luckily something I don't use on a regular basis. But I think the area of the dark web is very vast in kind of what's on there. But essentially, an area of the dark web is a marketplace. And the easiest way to explain it is it's a little bit like an eBay for illegal kind of activity, shall we say. Right. So whether that be drugs, weapons, but in this case, and the most important thing for us, probably the biggest commodity on there now is people's data.
Such as?
It could be personal records, bank records, passwords, login information for various companies' websites. Right. So really, when data finds its way on there, it could just be meaningless small bits of data, but the whole reason it finds its way on there is for the people that own that data or have stolen that data to try and sell. The people that are buying that data are going to use that for wrongdoings. Essentially, they're going to be trying to do steal your identity, log into accounts, use bank account details, etc.
Okay, that's worth knowing. Mm-hmm. So how does that data actually find its way on to the dark web? So especially for our customers, just to keep them a bit more informed, how can they best avoid it? So how does that information get onto the dark web in the first place?
Yeah, from my understanding, there's two main routes of that data kind of finding its way onto the dark web. So one thing that we'll all see is phishing emails. So you get an email into your account claiming to be something. So it could be, oh, you've locked out of your Amazon account, you've locked out of your eBay account. Click here to re-enter your details. And actually, it's not come from Amazon, it's not come from eBay. Yeah. It's a phishing email to try and get you to land on a page where you freely type in your details. Actually, you're providing those details to a third party. Right. Those sorts of things are, you can counteract those with email kind of spam filtering and bits like that. However, the biggest kind of use case of information finding its way onto the dark web is when a large company has a data breach. So you'll see this now a legal obligation that if a company has a data breach, they have to report it. So it becomes news. We've literally had, so it's January 24, 26 billion pieces of people's data have been leaked. And it's the biggest breach to date. And this will only get worse and worse over time. So the problem with that side of things, if it's a company that's then leaking the data, you have no control over that breach. There's nothing, you can protect yourselves, have the best firewall, the best spam filtering, everything set up in your office. But actually, if what a company ABC is going to have a data breach, it's out of your control, and any data that you hold with them, whether that be your email, your login details, your address details, your bank details, that then could be lost to that third party and find its way onto the dark web.
Yeah, okay, so that's quite scary, really, something that we certainly need to address. So obviously you came across SafeWeb. Is it worth now explaining a little bit about the benefits of SafeWeb, who they are, where they came from, and actually why we think it's important that our customers benefit from the type of service that they offer?
Yeah, so I must admit, 12 months ago, the dark web and that sort of cybersecurity space wasn't something that any of us within F1 knew a lot about. And it was drawn to our attention because we'd had two customers, I think, that had a breach essentially, and that data was used, and they had some issues around their bank. And I think it was alerted to us in the interim because they were struggling to kind of keep up with the invoices whilst they were sorting this problem out. Yeah. And I think we just got into contact like we do with any of our customers. How can we help out? And can we, is there anything we kind of do to help the situation? And it came across that in quick succession, two companies had these breaches that led to some fraud in their bank account. We then reached out to some IT vendors and some suppliers that we get on really well with, and all of them were pushing us in the direction of SafeWeb as a product that's kind of become the pinnacle, or that kind of number one standout product on the shelf for this space. So we spoke to the team at SafeWeb, got on board. I've been using it in-house now for 12 months essentially, and and what it does in terms of a product, it's actively scanning the dark web. So we put in people's email addresses, it's looking at the domain of that email address, and anything that flags up within the dark web that's linked to that email address. So whether it be just the email address itself, any passwords, personal information, address information, bank card details, anything that's then linked, it's doing a 24/7 monitor of that email address and will flag up and send you an alert straight away. Not only that, within the kind of PDF report it sends you, gives you a breakdown of what information's out there, where the leak came from, and what to do. Most importantly, what to do. So if you follow the steps through, it will say, in this instance, you've had your bank details taken.
Yeah.
It will take you through to a specific bank details section, which will give you an explanation of how these things happen, but then also what to do in the interim, what to do now, sort of thing, to kind of get this sorted, and also then best practices moving forward.
Because it's all well and good knowing you've had a breach, but again, for a layman, it's like myself, again, it'd be really useful for someone to say, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to put into place.
Yeah.
Because even if I had a breach, for example, I wouldn't know where to stop it or what to do. So the fact that they're going to provide them with information in terms of this is what you need to do to stop it and limit, I guess, the danger, that's going to be really helpful and really useful.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit of a sad indictment of the world we're in. I think that we're seeing these cases coming up again and again and again, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have more and more customers, unfortunately, they get hit with these sorts of things, outside of our control. So anything we can do to kind of prevent these things from happening, or actually notifying them if something does happen, it's outside of our control, outside of the customer's control. Can we give them the tools to kind of make that right and make sure that they're secure, they're safe, and they're not being taken advantage of?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great.